I want to tell you why the good cop and bad cop parents really don't do a good job. Hi, I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh for Local Now. I have a PhD in clinical psychology, and I teach developmental psychology at Cal State Channel Islands, which is one of the reasons I think about parenting and child development a lot. There's one style of parenting I hear about a lot, and it's called the good cop, bad cop parent. It works like this. One parent, who's sort of the squishy, loosey-goosey jellyfish parent, becomes the good cop. Sure, whatever you want, honey, I don't know. Afraid to say no, they'll say, ask the other parent. The other parent is the brick wall, strict disciplinarian parent. First of all, why are parents supposed to be cops? I mean, a parent's job is to be a coach, to be a lover, to be a teacher, not a disciplinarian. That should only come as a last resort. Secondly, kids get really good at dividing parents. If parents don't present a unified front, that kid is going to figure out which parent to go to for what and how to avoid the bad cop parent. And finally, bad cop parents don't like to have to be the bad cop all the time. When I was growing up, for instance, my mother used to say, wait till your father comes home, or go to your room. When your father comes home, I'm going to make him spank you. And literally, Dad would come in after a long, hard day and she'd say, go hit her. And by the way, he would kind of fake spank me, doing it lightly, and I would amp up the screams extra loud. We had our own deal going on there. So how can parents become a better unified front? Well, if you are in disagreement about rules and parenting, you might want to seek the help of a family therapist. Parents need to get it together themselves before they can give rules to their kids. If parents are arguing about what the rules are, kids feel confused about what parent to go to for what. So that's the most important thing, that the couples work it out together first in couples therapy. And then try hard to not be a cop, ever. Just present logical consequences. You know, if you don't get your homework done, you can't watch TV. If you don't take your plate to the dishwasher, you don't get dessert. It's sort of like you do something good, then you get a good reward. Kids love to work for rewards. And don't call it bribing, it's incentivizing. That's all. Can we talk about the different kinds of parenting styles and what works best for which kind of kids? Renowned psychologist Diana Baumrind followed 100 kids and their parents all the way from preschool through middle school through high school. This was back in the 1960s. What she wanted to know is, can the way we parent change our kids' personalities or impact their later in life outcomes? She looked at two particular things that parents do with kids. One is demand. She looked at demandingness, and she looked at responsiveness, how parents respond to the needs of kids. So what demands are placed on the kids and how parents respond when the kids have needs themselves. She ended up putting parenting into 4 categories. And before I give you all the categories, I want to remind you that every single parent has all 4 parents inside them. One might be dominant or not, but at any given moment, depending on the stressors, you might become a parent that's not so great. Probably the worst kind of parents as far as outcomes on kids are parents that she called disengaged. Disengaged parents were into their own world and their own life, so they didn't really care about their kids that much. They put very few demands on them, and they were not very responsive when the kids have needs. Unfortunately, kids from these families had the most problems later. Lowest academic scores, the worst relationship problems, and the highest rates of depression, anxiety, and drug use as teenagers. Next, she identified permissive parents. We know permissive parents. They don't tell a child to do something, they ask. You want to clean up your room? Okay. Can we do that? Okay. As if the kid has an option. So permissive parents have very low demands, but high responsiveness. Oh, she's crying. Maybe I should give her an ice cream before dinner, right? That's a permissive parent. What ends up happening to children of permissive parents is they have very low levels of self-control themselves. They also have low motivation for academic achievement. Why? Nobody seems to care. They don't place demands on me. And finally, although they didn't rate high on anxiety and depression, kids from permissive parents tended to experiment more with drugs and alcohol as teenagers. The third category of parent is the authoritarian parent. You know them, they're all about rules, and they won't let you question those rules. It's like, it's my way or the highway, or go to your room and come back when you have a better attitude, or don't ask me why, it's because I said so. Those authoritarian parents are very high in demanding and very low in responsiveness. As a result, their kids were very much conformists. They were used to having to follow somebody, so they were susceptible to negative peer pressure. Secondly, they tended to have really low self-esteem and higher levels of anxiety and depression. The fourth kind of parent, and we all wish we were this parent, if the authoritarian parent is the brick wall and the permissive parent is the jellyfish, we all wish we were the authoritative parent. That's the flexible backbone parent. That's the parent that's both demanding and responsive. They're warm, they're nurturing, they have rules and boundaries with logical consequences. They explain the reasons for their rules. They allow their kids to be individuals. They give them positive praise when they do something wonderful. And they follow through with their rules and consequences when they misbehave. As you can probably imagine, these kids grow up to have a high self-confidence, the highest academic achievement of all. They tend to have the best relationships with their peers and low use of drug and alcohol. Now parents, please, when they hand you those 6 or 7 or 8 pounds of flesh in the hospital, they also hand you 40 pounds of guilt. So remember, I'm also here to pull you off the guilt train. Here are a few tips to be the best positive parent we can, whenever we can. Set rules and make sure you create logical consequences. So if they break a piece of sports equipment from a friend, they've got to use their allowance and feel the pinch and go buy the new baseball mitt and give it to their friend. If they're small and they throw their macaroni and cheese all over the floor from their high chair, you sit with them and say, we don't get to go play with our toys till we clean it up together. Logical consequences that make sense with the action. Number 2, let your child express themselves. Let them be themselves. Let them dress the way they want. It's their body after all. Let them do their hair. Let them get a nose ring if they need to. Okay, tattoos, you gotta wait a little bit for that. You have to be an adult. Also, let them express themselves with their words, with their language, with their art. Let them be them, and you get to be their audience. Finally, catch them being good. If you find yourself only admonishing your kids because of their bad behavior, that's gonna be the attention they seek. You have to give them positive parenting so they'll wanna behave well so they can get your love and affection in return. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh for Local Now. You can follow me on my social media at Dr. Wendy Walsh. We'll see you next time.